This is Dr. Jeff with Dr. Jeff Resources coming to you today with another one of our resources. Do you want a date or a mate? Wrote this book for people who are looking to date more efficiently and effectively, and for those who are thinking of using dating to find a mate. Today, I want to talk to you about this: the dating do's. Here's some things to do, especially on that first date. First of all, you want to set limits before you date. You need to have a realistic expectation of what it is that you're looking for in this first date. And don't set that expectation too high. Meaning, this is a greeting meet. It's a come together and to kind of see if there's any potential chemistry, to see if you like the way they look, the way they smell, the way they talk, the way they act. Is there something about them that is piquing your interest? Because if not, then of course, no second date. But if so, then you can potentially look at how this date ends and have a second one. Next, dress appropriately. For the men, you need to come there in such a way that you're not trying to show off your maleness, meaning that you've got a nice developed chest, don't have your shirt buttoned all the way down to the navel. You want to be dressed in clothes that are not too tight, but not too loose. You want to be dressed appropriately. So, always make sure you're well groomed. Make sure your hair is together. Make sure your face is together. Make sure you smell good. Make sure your clothes are pressed and they're clean. Make sure that when you leave out the house, you have taken a look in the mirror and you see that you are giving a good representation of yourself. Because you cannot judge a book by the cover, but the cover has everything to do with selling the book. And if a woman looks at you and doesn't like what she sees, she's not going to go any farther. Now, the same thing with women. You want to make sure your hair is done. You want to be clean. You want to smell nice. You want your clothes to fit. Women, you don't want to have too much cleavage showing. You don't want to have too much of your body showing. You don't want to present yourself in such a way that a conservative man looks at you and gets the impression that you're loose. So, you need to do the same thing that a man should do. You need to look in the mirror and you need to make sure that you are presentable. Now, this is not a job interview, so you don't necessarily have to be dressed business proper. However, you should also not look like you just woke up out of bed or you are on your way to the beach. You have to dress appropriate for the first date. Be on time. Some people hate tardiness. And if you don't respect their time, they're going to feel like you don't respect them. So don't be late. You want to get there a few minutes early? That's fine. It allows you to see them as they're coming in, which, in my opinion, is a great place to be. It's always nice to see how a woman walks into a room, to see how a man comes into a room. Do they come in there like they own it? Do they come in there with confidence? Do they come in there looking like they belong there? Or do they just come in with their head down and looking all depressed and looking around and feeling like they're on another planet? You need to see that. You want to keep the conversations appropriate. On a first date, especially, don't get into too much detail. You can ask people about their history and stuff, but don't get too invasive because you should not expect a stranger to open up to you and tell you everything because the reality is you are strangers. You may have communicated prior to being here, but there's still a lot of things about each other you don't know, and you still haven't determined if you're comfortable yet in each other's presence. So, have an appropriate conversation. Keep it surface. You can talk about work. You can, if you want to ask some things about family, that's fine, but don't get into too many details. You can ask them what they like. You can talk about interest. You can ask them about movies or, traveling. Keep it appropriate. Decide on where you're going and who's going to pay. Now, I'm old school. If I'm going to take a woman out on a date, I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to go someplace that I'm okay with the tab coming to me. I don't start off, and this is just an opinion, but I don't start off as a man expecting this to be a Dutch date. Now, sometimes you'll go out with a woman and she'll tell you she wants to pay. And you can say, well, no, I got it. And she says, no, I wanted to do this. Let me do this. Then let her if she wants to. But I never believe it is right for a man to go out expecting a woman to take care of him. Why? Because if you're talking about being with someone on a regular basis and they start off looking for you to take care of them, it leaves a bad impression in the mouth of the man. So you want to go out and you want to be appropriate. If it's going to be a Dutch date, not a problem. Sometimes when you sit down, she says, well, hey, you know what? I'll pay for my meal. You pay for yours. This is our first date. Go ahead and agree. Remain positive throughout the whole time. Don't get into negativity. Don't get to arguing. Sometimes that's why it's good. Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about religion. Don't talk about things that could cause a controversy because you don't want to be fighting on the first date. You want this to go over good for you, and you want to have a pleasant conversation. In the end, you shouldn't be touching too much, and if it's a kiss, don't do a kiss on the lips. A gentleman will give a nice peck on the cheek, or he might even shake a hand, pull a hand close, and it was very nice to meet you. But do not expect a woman you just met to let you kiss her on the lips. Conversely, if you're a lady, don't let him kiss you on the lips, not initially. Why? Because you want to maintain the distance. We're friends, but intimate friends kiss on the lips, and we're not intimate friends. Which brings me to the next point. Minimize physical contact. If you are a touchy person and you like being touched, that's fine. But be very careful about touching strangers because you give them the wrong impression. It is better for you to keep your distance. And if someone reaches out, let's say maybe touches your arm or touches your shoulder, receive it as such. But do not allow too much physical contact to happen on that first date. You have to become comfortable with people. And the only way to become comfortable with somebody is to allow them to be themselves. Do you want a date or a mate? This resource can be yours. Get it today.